All right, recording started. Hi, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Olga Makarova. I'm a research specialist at the Slavic Reference Service, which is a part of Area International Studies Library at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. I would like to welcome you to Meet the National Libraries series. We started this series 2 years ago for several reasons. Firstly, to make national libraries and the work that's been done there and projects more known outside of their home countries. But we also wanted to bring people together, researchers, scholars, students, and librarians, and basically anyone who is interested in national libraries. We wanted to have this opportunity for them to join together and learn and discuss and meet each other and make connections and relations that probably and hopefully would lead to further collaborations and joint projects. And so far, we were lucky to learn about 7 national libraries around the world, including National Library of Singapore, National Libraries of Czech Republic, Poland, Latvia, Finland, and some others. And the recordings are available on Slavic Reference Service YouTube channel. And today we are very pleased and honored to feature National Library of Mexico. We are joined by Dr. Pablo Mora Pérez Tejada, Director of the National Library of Mexico, and also Dr. Filiberto Felipe Martínez Arellano, National Library of Mexico Coordinator. And I think we'll start with video, and then Dr. Mora and Felipe, the floor will be yours. So let's start with a short video about the National Library of Mexico.
The National Library of Mexico is located in the south of Mexico City, in the heart of the university city of the National Autonomous University of Mexico. The architectural complex where it is located is known as the Bibliographic Unit. It houses both the National Library of Mexico and the National Periodicals Library of Mexico, as well as the Bibliographical Research Institute, which administers both. The Bibliographic Unit consists of 2 sections, the Contemporary Collection and the Reserved Collection, where the oldest printed material is preserved, as well as manuscripts, archives, and miscellaneous documents. These 2 sections are linked by a passageway, known as the Tunnel of Time. Various sculptures adorn the interior, such as Erzua's, the symbol of the sciences and humanities, or Federico Silva's Vino. There are also busts of eminent personalities, such as the writer Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz and former President Benito Juárez. It was Juárez who issued the decree for the foundation of the library on November 30, 1867. He also gave its first headquarters, the old temple of St. Augustine, in the historic center of Mexico City. Previously, there had been several failed attempts to establish the library in 1833, 1846, and 1857. There was also, during the French intervention, a project of creating an imperial library, which turned out in the removal from the country of collections and books acquired for this purpose and their subsequent auctioning in Europe. The necessary renovation work for converting a church into a library began in 1867 and was completed in 1884. The opening ceremony was held on the 2nd of April, 1884. The former president, Manuel González, attended the ceremony. speeches were delivered and poems were recited, and a symphonic hymn of the library was performed. In 1893, the library opened its night service in the chapel of the Third Order to meet the reading needs of the working classes. The former President Porfirio Díaz and his cabinet attended the inauguration ceremony, as well as the director of the library for almost 30 years, José María Vigil. In 1914, the law of the National University was issued. It listed the organizations belonging to this institution, mostly faculties and institutes, and among them it was the National Library of Mexico. The organic law of the university, issued in 1929, ratified this assignment. From that time onwards, the National Library of Mexico has been under the custody of the National Autonomous University of Mexico. In 1950, when the construction of University City began, it was envisaged to move the National Library of Mexico to the building today known as the Central Library. At last, this proposal was rejected. However, traces of this attempt remain on one of the beautiful murals that embellish this building, on which the initials BN and HN are inscribed, which stand for Biblioteca Nacional and Hemeroteca Nacional. In 1967, the Bibliographical Research Institute was created as a part of the university, and it was stipulated that the National Library and the National Periodicals Library of Mexico would be under its administration. In 1979, the current headquarters of the National Library of Mexico was inaugurated. Thus began the transfer of the library's collections from the historic center to the south of Mexico City. The bibliographic unit was designed by the architect Orso Núñez, who was also responsible for the construction of the surrounding buildings, cinemas, theaters, and concert halls. The architectural ensemble is known as the University Cultural Center. Initially, the bibliographic unit housed only the library's contemporary collection, while the reserved collection remained for a few more years in the old church of St. Augustine. It was not until 1992 that the architectural section, where the library's reserved collection is located, was inaugurated. Finally, in 1995, all the books had been moved to the new location, which meant the end of an era. St. Augustine's building, the temple that held the library for over a century, was closed. It underwent a process of architectural intervention in order to reinforce its structure. Regarding the future of the National Library of Mexico, there are plans to build a documentary preservation center outside Mexico City, in Juriquilla, Querétaro, which is 2.5 hours away from the city. A significant part of its collection will be transferred there. Thus, it will prevent the bibliographic unit from becoming overcrowded, and it will meet the needs of storage space for the decades to come. There are also plans for the library's original home, the former church of St. Augustine. The building has undergone an extensive restoration process, which is in its final stage. In its adjacent chapel, better known as the Chapel of the Third Order, the National Library will house its Tiflological collection, a reference room for digital collections, the National Press, and a venue for academic teaching and outreach activities. Thus, the history of the National Library of Mexico encounters the present time, enlivened by the lessons of its past and impatient to meet the challenges of its future.
And now I'll be sharing slides.
should I start?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to me to give this presentation with my colleague, Dr. Felipe Martínez, coordinator of the National Library of Mexico, and we will add some information, important information to this video that you already see. So, it's an honor, this invitation also to this program, Meet the National Libraries series. And we have, I know, a great opportunity to present our past, present, and challenges of this National Library of Mexico, that it's really important in the region of Latin America, because it has important collections that are unique. And also because it has the memory of all the nation of Mexico City, but besides that, also the memory, its collections have been developed in a unique form that can capture a lot of the circulation books in Europe and in Hispanoamerica. Also, we have a collection, a special collection, for example, of the Philippines, and for the first time we have this collection that it's unique because it's it joined also Europe, Hispanoamerica, and the east of Europe. Well, I would like to start saying some highlights also. We are one of the most complete and valuable collections of cultural manuscripts and books in the region of Latin America of Caribbean. As I already said, the printing press, as you know, was brought to New Spain in 1839 by Juan Pablo and the publishers Juan Cronenberg. They print 35 books. When you see that 1539, it's an early, really, date that we had this printing press, and we also print in Mexico one of the first books of America in this printed press. In our rare books and special collection, we have 173 incunabula and many first American print books, as I told you. The collection of the Pontifical and Royal University of Mexico, predecessor of modern UNAM, and many books of convents and churches formed the initial endowment of the National Library after the university dissolution and the reform in Mexico. Well, as you can see, the story of this National Library is very peculiar. Even this decree was founded by the President Benito Juarez in this decree on November 30, 1867. Really, the initial project of this National Library was on 1833, but they couldn't develop the whole project, but they started doing these collections with the presence also with the legal deposit that already has been figured in Mexico City. As you heard in the video, well, the National Library custody is granted to the National Autonomous University of Mexico in 1929, when the university took the autonomy of their own administration. And this fact was really important because to be to be in the University of, in the National University of Mexico means a great development and a great standard with the education of students in Mexico cities. As you know, the National University of Mexico is one of the best universities in Latin America and in the world, I should say, because we have really standards that are really great in services, in projects that are unique in the education's programs. Also, the National Library current headquarters is inaugurated at the University Cultural Center, as you heard, in 1979, with this new building, La Unidad Bibliográfica. Next, please. Next slide. Well, before we start with the collections and the description of this library, I should say that the core functions of this National Library since many years ago, but particularly in this period of 2016 to 2024, the first thing is to build the national collection, the catalog of Mexican bibliography. The second one is to preserve the national collections. That's the most important, as you know, in national libraries, and we follow and we are the same purpose. We have the same purposes as Library of Congress. The third one is to disseminate and discover the national collections. Also to connect it with this environment in these technological and digital times, we have to give access to the national.
Looks like there's some problem with the connection.
I think that there is a connection problem.
Yes, we'll give a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Mora is back. I think we lost you. And
okay, I don't know what's the problem, but I can keep going. I apologize for this.
No worries. Yes.
But I keep going.
Yes.
Well, okay, we have here these collections I was telling you. We have an annual growth of items of 16,000 items and 100,000 periodicals. Also, we receive the legal deposit about 30% on library materials, and in periodicals we have the 25%. I know it's not the best percentage, but we are trying to give to develop projects, and we have a new legal deposit law that will grow those amounts. Also, as you can see, we have ancient materials. The oldest is the Libro de Horas, that is from 1450. And we have, as I told you, this collection of incunabula 173 dated between 1479 and 1500. The oldest newspaper we have is La Gaceta de México, and we have a great collection here because, well, we started with in an early stage with this platform, with this printed press, and so we have one of the oldest newspapers that we started in 1728. I know that, for example, Boston has one of the oldest periodical. It's around 1673, I guess. But well, we have a collection, a huge collection of this. Also, I can tell you in general that we have 6 main reading rooms and 75 book deposits divided in one general collection that has 55 books deposit with 10 collections, and one reserve or rare book collection that has 20 book deposits with 124 collections. 9 are major, 27 special, and 86 archives. So we have really a big and solid national library. I can tell you that, well, we have now in this moment, we can say that we have in general 9 million of documentary units and 10 million of images approximately. We are trying to advance in digitization of the old collections, and we have a program that it's growing each year. Next, please, slide. Well, also, well, I can tell something about this legal deposit because now in Mexico we are with a new law, legal deposit, and I just show you these historical slides that shows that its origin dates back to 1812 and established by decree in 1935, and in 1855 modified. It's really 1836, and modified in 1991. And in that time, they add the electronic materials, and we started to collect these electronic materials since that year. And more recently, in the 2021, we have this new law that I should explain you briefly in a minute. We establishes the obligation. Well, as you know, all the national libraries establishes the obligation for publishers and producers of bibliographic and documentary materials in the country to deliver 2 copies of their materials to the National Library of Mexico for safekeeping, preservation, and availability for consultation. Well, we just received 2 copies, one to preserve and the other one to disseminate and to show to the reader. Next one, please. As I told you, the general law for libraries was expedited in the 2nd of June in the 22, and this, I think, this is a strategic new legal deposit because they establish the same obligation of 2 copies, but they are and this reinforces delivery of a copy of their digital publications. Also, we have well, some fine amonestation, I don't know how to say it. The general law also expands this obligation not only to the Union Library of Congress, as has been working since 1936, but now this time they add this library in Mexico, that is the Vasconcelos, this other library. It's a public library that has been administered by the government, by the Ministry of the Cultural Ministry. Now they add these two libraries, and we are heading all the the technological develop to share with these two libraries. Next one, please. Well, the challenges, I can say, for digital legal deposit now is establish a technological model for the digital legal deposit. We have been receiving now already digital materials, but we are trying to elaborate a technological platform for receiving or in organization and giving access to digital legal deposit. And we are working on that because we are developing a platform, a general and unique platform to share with other libraries, as you can, as I mentioned, the Union Library of Congress and also the Library of Mexico. Don't confuse that the National Library of Mexico is the most important, and we have other library that is Library of Mexico. It's different. This last one is only public. Now they have to be, they had to develop a program of preservation, and I think they will follow the main political standards that we are developing in this National Library of Mexico. So we're establishing a model of long-term preservation and printed and digital legal deposit. Next one, please. Well, as all these challenges mainly, well, we have to think about the future of this preservation, and we are, in the coming years, we are expecting to increase our income of, as I told you, of legal deposit. So now we have our storage capacity of at 90%. So we are full here in this Unidad Bibliográfica, in this library. So we are building a modern documentary preservation center, as most world libraries have done, with optimal conditions and up-to-date technological equipment. We follow the model of the British Library, for example. We traveled there and we share some technological standards, but we are, as you know, the National University of Mexico has a lot of research in architecture and engineering and technological development, and we are developing a robot and also the same thing, the same standard, but from made in Mexico. And I think that's one of the privilege and the advances that we can take about that we are growing inside the National University of Mexico. Next one, please. Well, before, can you come back with the slide? Well, you can see that in your left hand, you see this is the illustration of the first page of Dante Alighieri, the Divina Commedia. We have the edition, the Incunabula of 1494. So there are just two in the world, one in Italy and one we have here in Mexico. Next one, please. Well, this is part of this. You saw it in virtual photographs in the video. Now you have it on real. This is what we are growing. We're building right now, and it's inside an area in Querétaro, Juriquilla, with all the atmospheric requirements that we need to keep this. We're thinking in 100 years. This first stage is a model of 25 years, only for 24 years, and it's on a area that it's on front of the on the park front that you cannot see right now. It's all the installation and buildings of the University of Mexico that we have in that part of the country. So we're developing this not only as a storage, we are going to give some service and give some classes, etc., etc. Well, this is an overview of what we have in the National Library. I will share, well, you can see it's 238 kilometers from Mexico City in about 3 hours and 15 hours. So it's not that far, but we are decentralization. We're doing this decentralization from Mexico City. So we are, I think we are following the standards of the world, of national libraries in the world, the main libraries in the world, and we keep growing each year. Now I can share, well, I will, at the end, I will tell you about some vision and some visions and strategies that we have. But now I would like to share this presentation with my colleague, Dr. Felipe Martínez. So, Felipe.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mora. Thank you very much. The next slide, please. Well, the National Library of Mexico has two main collections, the Contemporary Collection and the Ancient Collection. In the Ancient, the Contemporary Collection is conformed by the deposit, legal deposit. But the Ancient Collection is conformed by a set of materials, of items given by the government when this National Library was founded. The collections that conform the initial collection of this library was from conventual institutions, and there are many important resources. I'm going to talk about and show some of these important resources. These bibliographic gems and valuable collections and materials are unique in the world. The next one, please. We have a Mexican room. The Mexican room collection is unique in the world. Why? Because there are new Hispanic printed material covering the period from 1574. The oldest books we have in this collection is from 1821. 1821 is an important date for us. That date was when the Mexican independence was consummated. You see the period 1554 and 1821 is the Mexican colonial period. Mexican colonial period is very important in the history of Mexico. The organization of this collection is by chronological order, similar to a trip in the past. In this collection and this way organization allow scholars find printed testimonies of the culture, history, literature, science, music, theater of this period of time, very important period of time for our history. The next one. I want to talk about three important collections that are registered in the memory of the world. Memory of the world, like you know, is the register of very important results around all the world, around Latin America, and around Mexico. In the National Library of Mexico, there is a collection, American Incunabula. This collection is conformed by incunabula printed in the 16th century. Like Dr. Mora mentioned, like Mexico was the first city in the Americas outside Europe to receive, install, and operate the printing press. In that time, this fact was started in the state-of-the-art technology of that time. In this collection, American Incunable, there are books on grammar, religion, music, medicine, law, military art, navigation, philosophy, etc. These books are recognized for their richness in form. The artistic features of these materials are very rare and unique in Mexico and in all the world, but also for their content of these materials. The next one. The next one. The next one, okay. Other important collection we have is denominated La Fragua collection. La Fragua collection was the first director of the National Library. This collection is integrated by 1,580 volumes in diverse types, miscellaneous or factual collections that contain 24,000 documents of diverse types, brochures, manuscripts, newspapers, clippings, and all of them, or most of them, correspond to the 19th century. This collection represents the most important documentary set of items that register the history of Mexico during this period. There are items about historical, literary, social, political, legal, and theory that represent and give an overview of the 19th century in Mexico, the life of 19th century in Mexico. The next one, please. Other important collection and unique we have is a collection of Mexican periodicals that cover 1728 to 1917. It's a long period of time. In this collection, there are 439 titles of Mexican magazines, newspapers, printed in the capital city, Mexico City, and in other Mexican states. It's an unprecedented collection and an important source of study for different aspects of culture, political, social, economic, artistic, and technological phases of the country.
Felipe, can I
yes.
Add something else to this?
Sure, Dr. Mora.
Well, I would say that the La Fragua, the slide before, La Fragua is really important because the main thing, and I think that's why it's on this UNESCO memory of the world, is because you can search for not only in chronological form the life of Mexico City. You can search this in transversal form in the daily life of Mexico with different materials. You can have pamphlets, clippings, you can take manuscripts, you can have also a miscellaneous that you can search for that life in Mexico in the 19th century. I think that's why it's one of the most important collections we have. And also, I can say that La Fragua has also his library, that the main library was sent to Puebla. They have this part of this collection, and with these two parts, I think we have a huge and important documentary bibliographical. And also I would like to add that in the 2017, we searched and we candidate to Canto General de Pablo Neruda to this national memory. And we are in this, we have the first edition of 1950, and we share this prestigious honor with other libraries. But the important thing in this Canto General is that represents, well, you know, a main poetry title, but also it has the form that is the typographical view of this and manufacture of this book is really great. And it has also one unique illustration of Orozco, this muralist, in one of the first part of the book. And at the end, it has a Siqueiros, also a mural of Siqueiros that it was drawn by him in presence. So I think this is our important collection. We have also other collections, really important. I'm not gonna say every collection, but we have a bibliographic collection, the bibliographic collection, a special collection, and historical collection. As you know, we have a great tradition. We have our own school of bibliographical research in our country, and that's why we have this collection. We have also a map library, a mapoteca. We have a tiflological collection also, una sala del tiflológico, that it's important that you know that we cover other aspects of these services in our library. Thank you. Keep going, Felipe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mora. Next one, please. I'm going to talk about our digital collections. The next one. The digital collections are conformed by two sets. One of them is the National Digital Library of Mexico. The next one. This is the screen of this collection. The Digital National Library of Mexico is conformed by ancient materials. The next one. These materials are in open access, and the materials cover the 15th to 19th century. There are more than 6,000 titles in this digitalized collection. And there they include more than 2.4 million of images. This is an important collection dealing with ancient materials mainly. Also, we are working in a contemporary collection to the which will be conformed by the digital items, the digital objects given to the National Library of Mexico by legal deposit. Like Dr. Mora mentioned, the new law of digital deposit has for the editors and producers of resources the obligation of give a copy of their file. Also, like Dr. Mora mentioned, there is a fine, a penalty for those who don't give this kind of materials. And the penalty is high. It's 50 times the commercial value of the books or items. And in case they don't obey with the deposito legal, there is an obligation to inform to the Minister of Hacienda to cover this penalty. In this way, we are preparing a great platform to receive, organize, cataloging, preserving, and give access to the files of digital books that we will receive in the future from legal deposit. The next one, please. Other important collection is the Hemeroteca Nacional Digital of Mexico, the Newspaper National Library. This is other part of the National Library of Mexico. The next one. In this collection, there are periodicals from 18th century, 1722 to 2106 years, and all of them are in open access. This collection is conformed for more than 940 titles and more than 7 million of items, 7 million of articles. And they are represented in more than 9 million of images. This is a very important collection for periodicals, Mexican newspapers, and they are the most used resource in the National Library of Mexico.
Should I add something about these digital collections? Really, they are really important because we started these two projects long time ago. First, the periodicals digital library, we started this on 2005, and we have really a nice tool, a nice library, because we have the OCR built in, and we have all the materials were taken from the microfilms that we had at that time. So they have been using this digital periodical digital library since long time ago, and then we have been developing technological main things to put on up to date to these instruments or these libraries we have. Also, the National Digital Library of books, we started this on 2015, and we have now a better library. You can look our web page and you can see how it works. Keep going.
Thank you. The next one, please.
Well, I can keep going. This part. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, we have, as I told you, well, we are in the University of Mexico, in the National University, Autonomous National University of Mexico, and we have since 1967, the main director at that time project this research on bibliography institute that we have now. And it's an institute that is unique in terms of that it's studying the patrimonial documents that we have in this library. All these 35 scholars that are doctors, PhDs, and working on this patrimonial, they are developing not only doing books about this patrimonial heritage that we have in this library, but also they are trying to contribute to the dissemination of our materials in Mexico and all around the world. I think it's really important that we have these colleagues that work with some compromise to the nation. As you know, Mexico City, we have a lot of problems with well, many people here, they don't read even the newspaper, and they even don't know how to read. So we are developing a lot of programs that can keep growing these users in the National Library. But well, I can, in the part of questions and answers, I can explain a little bit more about this Institute of Research Bibliography. The next one.
The next one, please.
Well, also, as I told you, we have these 35 researchers, and we have postdocs also doing research here, and they also contribute to this National Library. And we have, if you search in our website, you can find our scholarly journal that is now in indexes of all the world with a good qualification of all the, I think it's one of the unique magazines that are dedicated to the bibliographical studies, really. I mean, at least in Hispanoamerica, I can say that. Also, we develop books. As you can see, we have, for example, we printed and do this Historia de las Literaturas en México with 6 volumes that we have, all the 19th century and the 20th century, and now we are beginning with the colonial part. Also, we have manuals of Latin, for example. As you know, one of the main books collections we have are written in Neo-Latin and Spanish and the Aboriginal languages that we have in Mexico. So the Latin is really important. We do and offer some courses, some programs of Latin, and we also have receive prizes about these kind of books that we are doing. Also, we have editions of other collections, facsimiles, etc., etc. You can search for that in our website. Just write down the National Library of Mexico, and you can find this on open access if you would like to know. Next one, please.
Okay. I'm going to talk about, finally, about 3 actions we carry out during pandemic time. Obviously, like many other libraries in the world, we reinforce the virtual reference. Virtual reference 24 hours of the 7 days of the week. This was a very important service to communicate with our patrons to access mainly digitalized collections. Question we received in that time is, where can I find this item? When can I find this information? The next one, please. Using the collection of periodicals, we developed a index systems of the periodicals. In using the periodicals we have, and particularly newspapers we have in the periodicals section, we developed the collection COVID-19. There are newspaper reference about the pandemic in Mexico during this time. This collection from newspaper reference at the present time is confirmed by 2,758 items or records that describe many aspects recorded in the Mexican newspaper about the pandemic. This collection is very consulted, very used by our patrons in Mexico City and other places of our country, because this index of newspaper reference is online. The next one, please.
But we have also, I should add something else. We have other collections, as for example, we develop all the indexes of medical magazines, the original magazines, that they are not online. No, they are old. They are at the beginning of the 20th century. And also we have specific collections about topics that are running around, as for example, the Trump era. We have a collection of Trump, of this area of Trump. We have a collection of feminicides that it's important to the world and to Mexico City concretely. And we have other collections that are thematic, and it follows, the general opinion that it's growing with precise indexes that we are doing right there. And also we have a special curious collections as how do you call this, las caricaturas, ¿cómo se dice? The graphic magazines. The graphic magazines, we have a popular graphical tradition in Mexico that is really, and we have great collections. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The next one, please. Other action we carried out during that time was include the link of open access to documents from university repositories. The National University of Mexico has about 30 open access repositories conformed by the publications of diverse research institutes of this university. In that time, we include the link to open access from this repository in the catalog records of the National Library. Was an important feature in order to the patrons that cannot attend the library, because many libraries in the world, National Library of Mexico was closed in that time. But this was a way to allow access to resource, to access to text of the resource for patrons that can attend physically to the library. Well, in general, can I add something else, Dr. Mora?
Yes, I would like just to give you some vision and strategy that we are working on now. We need to engage more our society and tell readers that the information that we preserve and disseminated is trustful. We are not fake, because National Library is responsible of our recollecting our national memory. 2, we want to connect people and users to our library experience, telling them that the treasures and the values of our library patrimony. The third one is library values are cultural forms of growing and making citizenships with tolerance, respect, and democracy. The National Library Repository is a cultural background that makes our identity stronger in our global context. The services that we are offering are unique to make them more reliable and trust decisions when we use professional information. So the main thing is that we are building our Mexican collection and making our catalogs. We are preserving and digitals the Mexican patrimony of collections of books and newspaper. Discovering national collection is making perdurable experiences with this library, and making more accessible the patrimony treasure is to promote values. So this is our presentation. I think with this we end. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a fascinating presentation and the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do think we have a little bit of time for questions. If anyone might have, you can either type them in chat or raise your hand and unmute and then ask it.
Well, we like what we are doing, what that's why also I think this country needs really a healthy national library, you know, in all respects, in all aspects.
I have a commentary and maybe an answer several questions that was included in the register record. Some questions in the register records are about our technical service, cataloging service, and what standards we are using. Obviously, we are using RDA, and also I'd like to mention that National Library of Mexico in this moment is the representative of the Latin American and the Caribbean region in the RID board. We represent all the Latin American and Caribbean libraries in this board, the RID board, that have to take the decisions about the development of this code. It's a great honor, but at the same time, a great responsibility. In this order, the ideas, we have organized some conference in the region in Latin America to approach application and problems regarding this code. This is very important for the National Library of Mexico role in this time.
Also, if you allowed me to say that I forgot to tell you that not only we do this technical and modern standards, but we at the same time, we have a department that we project physical and virtual exhibitions. We have presentations, book launches of our books. We have guide tours in this library. We have symposiums. We have Congress, International Congress. And now it's running one of these international congress in virtual congress about RDA, and there are many people right there listening to this congress. We have keynote speeches. We have special invitations. And we have a lot of activities running on this library. So we are trying to give this now, after this pandemic situation, we're trying to reactivate this National Library as a place to be comfort and do, if you want silence, you have a silence space to do your homework, to search for something special. The students are coming more frequently now, and well, we would like to grow this library as a public and social entity that share information.
Yes, I would like to mention also a set of conferences we organize and have in the pandemic time to discuss the future of libraries after the pandemic, in the pandemic and after the pandemic. In this set of conference participate some scholars, very important scholars from foreign universities, from all different countries of the world. This was a very important action in which the National Library of Mexico projected to worldwide.
Thank you. I think I might have one question. I think Dr. Mora mentioned a little bit about engagement, and you also briefly discussed it, especially with with community and with people. And I think you said that you might be willing to talk a little bit more about the maybe some initiatives and how you engage with community and with people.
Well, we have a special programs that we developed these programs during the pandemic. And we have, for example, a program that is online. Each Tuesday, we have a special people that do some interviews. The name of the program is like like the Faro of Alejandria, the Faro of the National Library of Mexico. And what we do is that we try to search for communities that are growing all around the country, and they work about books, the cultural books, or about the object, and about, I should say, people that it's selling, doing exhibitions, doing some community readings, programs, people that it's directing libraries, bibliotechological associations. And so we are trying to engage all the communities that are talking about books. And we are, with that interviews, we're trying to grow a program that can bring all these people and give some backgrounds to what's going on with books, with the circulation of books, with libraries, what's happened with libraries. But we want to listen to them. But first, we have to collect these communities. I don't know if I'm clear. Also, we have other kind of programs about trying to promote or disseminate the how we read, how we start reading, and why it's important to read, not only in the library. And we have a program of in distance that you can record your own specific book or short story or poem, and you share us this poem, this reading, and we share to the community. You can search for that. You can. It's on the website, and we have enormous people that it's working on that. So we're really trying to make to give some mixed backgrounds from the virtual aspects and to the presence aspects. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes.
Please allow me to add something. We are in an important place. We are placed in the cultural center. The cultural center is conformed by the National Library, but also by the concert hall and the video hall, cinema hall, and also the amusement. In this place, there are many activities in the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. Taking advantage of this place, we are started a program of open the National Library Saturday and Sundays. In this program, we are planning some cultural activities like those as mentioned Dr. Mora, to improve interest in reading, to carry out some cultural activities, presentations of books, presentations of films, etc. In this way, we are thinking approach other kind of public, the general public that look for a place for reading, for other kind of cultural activities.
We are open all the days of the year. I think we are the unique library that is working on that.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing all your hard work and all the projects and everything that you're doing. It was truly a fantastic experience to have this virtual experience and tour of your library, and I hope it was truly interesting, and I hope that we'll be able to, I'm looking forward to working with you more and collaborating, and hopefully visiting you before too long in person. But it was a big treat and pleasure for us to be able to learn from you, and it's amazing what you're doing. So thank you very much for your time and for willingness to be with us today. And I think we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor to share these experiences with you, and I celebrate your program and your initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you and colleagues from other countries this little piece of we are working, because our work is very extensive. And this was a great opportunity to share a little bit of our work. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And we know that you have a lot of work and projects, so we don't want to keep you from them.
Yes,
thank you.
Running now to the next conference.
Yes.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Olga. It's a pleasure.
It's
Bye.
a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.